Welcome along, everyone. You are very welcome to the St. Bridget's Bank Holiday Bonanza or something. I just thought of that name and I thought I'd use that. It's the Wild Wacky Action Day episode show. Yeah, so this is a surprise bonus episode for everybody who has been asking me for longer episodes and asking me for more than one episode a week. And just all the people who are loving the show. So I said I'd had a bit of extra free time today. Extra free time. Yeah, that's what it's called, isn't it? Extra free time. Had a bit of free time today, or had a bit of extra time today, whichever one you want to go with. And I decided to try and do a bit of a bonus episode for people. Bank holiday, people not working. Well, some people not working, the lucky people like myself. So I said I'd give you something extra, because why not? So I decided I'm going to tell you a couple of funny stories, and try and make it a bit more lighthearted than the last two episodes. Although there was some funny stuff in those episodes, there was a lot of kind of not even heavy, but heavier kind of subjects. Why can't they talk? That's what I'd love to know. Any idea why I can't talk? Let me know. Put it in the comments. Yeah, anyway, keep commenting, keep liking. Actually, Spotify keeps reminding me to tell my followers to follow me on Spotify, which is something that I never ever think of saying. So do me a favour, follow me on Spotify, and then just all the socials at Walshunit, you know yourself. Anyway, right, so I was thinking, I'm not even going to mention things that I mentioned on other episodes now, because, as I said, I don't want to get into it, right? But I was thinking that stuff that I was talking about in the other episode, right? If I want to do anything like that again, I'm going to be pure blacklisted in everyone's books, right? And what I was thinking to myself is that it'll be like when I was younger and I was first driving, the guards used to always pull me over, like always pull me over, right? And it was just because I was young fella with a fucking skinny head, shaved, and driving bangers of cars and just driving around. And plus, all my friends were smoking weed and fucking doing everything else. So when they saw me and they saw my friends in the car, they'd be like, pull him over. They'd never find anything in my car. Because I used to even, like if the boys had a bag of weed or something, I'd be like, boys, you're not bringing that in my car. No, I'm not. I'm going to have to start and drive and not get in trouble, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, they used to always just pull me over and they'd just search the car. They'd come over, they'd be all guns blazing, and then they'll just search the car. And speaking of guns blazing, actually, I'll tell you one in a second about that. So, they would always pull me over, and as I said, all guns blazing, all like, we're pulling you over, we're searching you under the misuse of this and that, and suspicion of this and that. And I'm going, all right, work away. And then they just kind of come down. They're like, oh, hold on, he doesn't have anything. And then they just end up being sound at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm kind of pissed off then because of how they approached it, first of all. So I'm like thinking in my own head, like, there's no point in being fucking sound now when you were such cunts about it 10 minutes ago. Do you know what I mean? So I obviously spent a lot of my younger years resenting them and stuff for that, because I was just getting put into this bracket that I didn't deserve to be in. Whatever the fuck, right? So one of the times that I got pulled over, right? So I used to get pulled over the whole time. And one of the times I got pulled over, one of the boys was in the car with me. And I was driving up through town and I was coming out by Arthur's Quay, we'll say, and heading up O'Connell Street. And I was turning down them by Jory's and going down onto the Dock Road, right? So I saw the guards behind me by the side of Arthur's Quay. And I could see them. What lane was I in? Whatever lane I was in, I switched lanes and I could see them switching lanes too, right? So I thought no more of it. And I kept going anyway, and they were still behind me, and I was like, right, they might be just going to Henry Street. So we passed out the turn for Henry Street, and they were still behind me. And I was like, for fuck's sake, anyway, these cunts now are going to pull me over again. And a friend of mine was in the car, and he was smoking, as I said, he was smoking a few joints, and they were really paranoid, like, and I was like, fuck them anyway, cunts are going to pull me over. And he was like, why, man? What? Like, do you know? And I was like, fuck all, man. I said, they're just constantly pulling me over. I said, what? Fuck them anyway. And I started taking out my license and threw it on my lap. So I got down to the dock road anyway, and next thing, the second they got an opportunity to pull me over, by that shop that sells all the lights. I think it was around there. And there's a bit that you can kind of pull in there. The space is there. So they turned on the lights anyway, they pulled me in there. Could have been back by 95 FM actually. But when the guard walked up to the window, I rolled down the window and I looked up at him and I was like, what's the problem? And he was looking at me like, what do you mean? I said, I'm fucking constantly getting pulled over. I said, why am I constantly getting pulled over? And I had my license out the window, like ready to give it to him and everything. And he was like, oh, you're constantly getting pulled over. Are you for what? I said, for fucking nothing. I said, I'm getting pulled over for absolutely nothing at all. So why'd you keep pulling me over? And he was like, well, I don't pull you over. I haven't pulled you over in this time, blah, blah. And I pointed at his colleague, Will say, and I says, you pulled me over. I said, 2 days ago, you were in the passenger seat of blah, 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 this unmarked car, whatever it was, and we got pulled over here and blah, blah, blah. And you searched my car. And he was like, oh, yeah. Search away now. I said, go on, have a look. I said, just fuck all in the car like there never is. Have a look, I said. And I had a look and fucked me off, whatever, right? So that was grand, but they'd always be pure, like, we're searching the car. And, oh, why do you keep getting pulled over? And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. But that's what I'm saying about the other thing. Whereas like, oh, why do you keep putting up on that thing? Why? Why'd you keep getting put up on that thing? And I'm like, I don't know. But, yeah, so, right? That leads me on to another story, right? So me and a friend of mine met on the road. So there's a main road here, and then there's like an inside road, like in where the houses are. It's the Old Cork Road for anyone who knows it, right? So the Old Cork Road is here, the main one, and then the lesser important road is in there, and like people just go in there to go in home or whatever, right? So myself and one of the boys anyway pulled in, and I was facing down the way and he was coming up the way. So we pulled in next to each other chatting on this road because, as I said, it's kind of quiet. It's only people going in home. And our driver windows were against each other, we'll say. With our windows down, we were just chatting there for a minute. So next thing, this fucking car comes flying on. Now, I told this story at my comedy gig as well, by the way. This car comes flying up, right? Went in and kind of undertook the fellow who was with me, kind of went in that side around his passenger side and swerved around in front of him as if it was to box him in. And it was an older car. It was actually a Camry, I think it was, unmarked, like. And so we didn't know who the fuck it was. We thought it was just someone fucking tearing in and pulling in front of us. So he stuck his car into reverse and started trying to take off, and then realised it was the guards and was just like, all right, fucking guards, whatever, we're not doing anything wrong anyway. And so I was after moving into a new apartment at the time, and I was after getting like a new toaster, new microwave, kettle, all the appliances for the apartment that I was after moving into, right? My daughter was only small at the time. No, and I was living on my own. So I had no bins. I was a little bit out the road, and I had no wheelie bins or anything at the time yet. Because I was only after moving in. So what I did was the box off the microwave, I threw it down in the corner of the kitchen, just left it open. And as I was using rubbish, then instead of using a kitchen bin, I'd throw it into that box, right? And I filled the microwave box with rubbish, and I filled the toaster box with rubbish, and then I just got some tape and taped the top of the boxes, fucked them into my car, and I was going putting them into my mother's wheelie bin in the city, we'll say, because I was a bit outside the city at that time. And that was grand. So I had the box off the microwave in the boot of the car, right? And then I had the box off the toaster down behind the passenger seat in the back of the car. So the guards anyway gets out and be like, oh, what are you doing here or whatever. We're like, oh, we're just talking there for a minute and whatever. And we're like, all right, we're searching you there under, I don't know. They didn't know. They just said, yeah, we're going to have a look in the cars, whatever. I don't think they said why they were searching or anything at that point yet, right? So, no, they did. I think they said misuse of drugs. Anyway, that's irrelevant, right? So that was grand. So they leaned in to my car, and my credit union book, if anyone remembers the old Corollas, they had that little fucking obsolete square underneath the radio, and there was nothing that went in there. It was just literally a plastic square in the old E10 Corollas. And my credit union book was in there. So the guard took out my credit union book and opened it up and started reading it. I said, hi, what are you doing? Give me that. and he pulled it kind of back towards his chest, and he says, I'm searching you under the Misuse of Drugs Act. I said, yeah, not the Misuse of a Credit Union book. No, give it back to me. So he had a quick look, but thinking back, he was probably just checking the name on it and probably checking like if there was fucking thousands in it or something like that. But he kind of looked at it with, telpis, and just gave it back to me, you know what I mean? So 1 second now, I'm taking an announced sup of tea, right? Before anyone starts saying they can't hear me. I'm have to change it to Punjana tea bags, by the way. The fella in this story, his girlfriend told me about him. Well, he told me about him too. Anyway, so he looked at my credit union book. That was grand. So he searched my friend's car. Fuck all and that. I don't think. Oh wait, no, I don't know. But anyway, right? That's irrelevant. So one of the guards opened up the back of my car and saw the box off the toaster in there, right? So he says to me, what's the story with that? Because it was just a cardboard box all taped up in the back of my car. And the other guard was in earshot, like he was very near me. And I says, that's just rubbish. I said, I have no wheelie bins, so I'm bringing them in the road to put them in my mother's wheelie bin. It's like, because I'm only have to move it into a new apartment. And he was like, right, okay. That was grand. So they went on searching anyway, whatever. And then a different guard says to me, open up the boot. So he starts looking around in the boot, and there was a big microwave box in there full of rubbish and taped up as well. So the second guard says to me, no, there was about 4 guards there, like, and the second guard says to me, what's in that? So I looked at the guard that I was just after explaining that to about the toaster box, and I said, that's just rubbish. I said, I've no wheelie bins at home. I'm put my rubbish in this, and I'm bringing it in to put it in my mother's wheelie bin. And all still fucking guns blazing and all that shit. Oh, I never told you the guns blazing story yet. I'll tell you that. And the same fella was actually in the fucking car, I believe. So, all fucking, high and mighty, fucking, we're searching you, blah, blah, blah. Right, grand. So, I explained it to him, and I was like, why is he fucking asking me the same question? I'm just after explaining it to the other guard in front of him. And so he leans down anyway. He kind of looks at me as if to say, all right, is he, huh? I was like, yeah. So, leans down anyway, rips open the cardboard box, right? Now, everything was inside in this fucking box, like all your just kitchen waste, do you know what I mean? And actually just general household kind of waste, do you know what I mean? I don't think there was any food or anything like that in there. Eggshells, I suppose, would be the closest thing to food. So there was eggshells, there was tea bags, there was nappies, there was messy stuff as well, like, tins, like bean tins or whatever the fuck, with like juice and shit. So it was rotten enough stuff, whatever, right? So no glove, no or anything on him, like, and he sticks his hand into the box and starts rooting through the box. Now there must have been 4 nappies in the box, and there was more in the fucking toaster box as well. As I said, it was just bringing them in the road, throwing them into the wheelie bin. Bringing them in the road, throwing them into the wheelie bin. I fucking feel like I fucked up that sentence, but he picks up one of the nappies and threw it on the ground, and he says to me, "What's in that?" I was looking at him thinking, what? I was thinking in my own head first, why did he single that nappy out of the few nappies that were in there? And why is he asking me what's in it? So I just stopped and I was like, piss and shit, I'd say. And he just completely was like, oh, right, and picked it up, put it back in. He picked the box up and put the box back into the back of my car, and they all just got into the car and left. I'm thinking, like, why come in such a fucking... Why come in? Like, I'm going to stop saying all guns blazing because I keep saying that. It sounds fucking stupid. But why come in like that and then just take my word for it and just like, oh right, okay, yeah. And just got embarrassed and just went away. You know what I mean? So the all guns blazing thing was a different Corolla. And it was actually at the top of... I was actually at the top of O'Connell Street before you turned down by that Jory's again. And it was only a banger of a Corolla as well. It wasn't even nice. And it was when the guards first kind of started having guns. Like, was it even... I think it was, when the Volvos first came on the scene, the estate Volvos. I think it was when that happened, when the armed response first kind of properly became a thing, because I remember they used to be going around in Isuzu Troopers and stuff like that, and they'd have guns in them. But this was when the proper armed response with the fucking, as I said, the estate Volvos, when they first came on the scene. And self from one of the boys, the same fella who was driving that other car that day, he was in the passenger seat with me. And the guard came up to the window anyway and stuck a big gun in the window on top of us. Like, I don't know what type of gun it was now. Just stuck it in the window on top of us. Get out of the car and this and that. And we're like, all right. Like, and in my head, like, I was thinking, like, he's not going to shoot us for nothing. Because we're, like, you'd say something if we were up to anything or if we were a danger to anyone or anything or whatever the fuck. We were just two fellas driving along in the car. No reason at all. They're just being like, oh, come on, we pull the boys over. Oh, can we use the guns? Come on, so we'll use the guns. Anything for the birthday boy. Do you know what I mean? So he was just kind of flashing them around because they were just after getting these new guns, I'd say. I don't know. That was grand. Stupid thing again. Just pulled me over, asked me for my license, insurance, whatever it was. And I gave him to him and he was like, yeah, yeah. So he walked away. But as he walked away, he had another smaller gun on his leg, we'll say, above his knee, but like not too high up. It felt like it was just above his knee. And he had another, as I say, a handgun in the holster there. And he was walking away. And as he was walking away, he was going back to the passenger seat of the car that they were in. So he clipped the gun off my bumper at the driver's side of my car. We'll say he bounced his leg off it. And I was in the car and I was like, I opened up the door and I stood out and said, what the fuck was that? And he's standing there with a big massive gun in his hand. And he turns around and goes, it was my knee. I goes, you've a metal knee, do you? And he just got into the car and went away. But like, I don't understand why they don't just get out and be like, how's things? What's the story? And then if they have a reason to be aggressive, start being aggressive then. Like, say a couple of weeks ago, I made a stupid mistake while I was driving, right? And the guard pulled me over. And he got out of the car and coming down to me, do you realise you're driving a 2-ton killing machine and all this? I was like, bud, listen to what I'm saying to you. And I tried to explain why I made the mistake. It wasn't entirely my fault. A little bit it was, whatever. But I didn't nearly cause an accident or anything like that. I just made a stupid mistake, whatever it was, right? So, do you know what I noticed as well? Do you know how many times I said whatever it might be in that last episode? I was actually going to call the last episode whatever it might be, but I decided not to. Yeah, so yeah, it was a stupid mistake I made, and he was pure aggressive. And the minute he came down to my driver window, he pressed a button on his body cam, and he was there, and he was pure like, yeah, this and that, blah blah blah. And I'm like, all right, man, but the reason that I did, I don't want to hear it. And all, I was like, bud, I says to him, I said, why are you being so aggressive towards me? And he said, I'm not being aggressive. I said, yes, you are. I said, you're on the defense. I said, the second you got out of the car, I said, listen to me. The second you walked up to my window, I told you, I said, listen, I fully understand why you're pulling me. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. And he started, oh, blah, 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 all this. I was like, and eventually I said it to him, I said, listen, I said, if I gave you the same attitude you're giving me, I said, it'd be a completely fucking different story. I said, I'm trying to be nice to you here and admit that I did something wrong, and you're giving me no credit whatsoever for it. Why are you being the way you're being? I said, relax and all this. And he was like, oh, I'm not being anyway and all this. And eventually then he was like, yeah, go on, have a nice evening and all this. I said, no, I won't. I pissed off at him out the window. No, I won't. As if that's going to make him fucking be like, oh, no. He's not going to have a nice evening now because of me, because I was pure, stone divine, jet divine, aggressive. But yeah. So I felt like I had a few yard stories, and I'm after getting them ones out now. There was another one as well where they followed me and they were flashing their headlights at me. I'm not even going to go into the full story now because it's kind of boring. But they were flashing their headlights at me, and it was around the time when I used to be getting pulled all the time for no reason. And one of the boys says, man, they're flashing the lights at you there. I said, fuck them. I said, they can turn on the blue lights if they want me to pull over. I said, I'm driving along and there's a car behind me flashing the lights, they can fuck off. So they come up beside me, and the guard on the passenger side, this was outside the €2 shop on William Street, and the guard in the passenger seat comes up, pull the fuck over, he's shouting, and I'm there driving along pretending not to notice, and he's there shouting out the window, and I looks across and went like, oh, and he's like, pull the fucking car over. I was only going at normal speed, like, you know, William Street speed, like, whatever that was. And they gets out as well, fucking, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and they were like, why didn't you pull over when we told you to? I said, because you didn't turn on the lights. What did you think we were doing behind you with the headlights? I said, fucking. And he was getting pure aggressive and angry and everything else. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck this now. I didn't do anything wrong. And there's no reason for me to, like, I can't get in trouble for anything. So I got pure annoyed then. And I was like, he said, what do you think we were doing? I said, fucking flashing me like dopes. He was like dopes, is it? Get out of the car, you. What did he say? Oh, get out of the car, you little prick. I said, don't call me a prick. You're a fucking prick. And he took us out of the car. And same thing, just pure. He searched the boys. There was 3 of the boys, I think, in the car with me. Searched him. Didn't search me. I was like, all right, go on, so. Like, where's all this aggression coming from? Approach me with, like, manners a little bit and be like, hello, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. Any cause for alarm, turn on your fucking prickifier. Do you know what I mean? But, I'm waiting for a message now. Sorry, I'm watching my phone. But, yeah, so I just thought I'd share that experience because I was thinking about that I'd be blacklisted, just like felt like I was blacklisted by the guards. Yeah, so there was another story I wanted to tell you. The same fella, the fella who was in the car next to me when we were pulled up chatting with the shit and piss, the same fella who was in the passenger seat of my car when the guard had a metal knee and he bounced his gun off my bumper. This story is about the same fella, right? And the same fella who told me about these tea bags. I'm not going to mention him now because he'd be mortified. Why is there a big hair on my face? I'd love to know. I need to find a better way to drink tea because I look like a big fucking idiot on the camera. So when they first moved to their new house, right? They were after bringing. So this is my friend now and my friends. It's a couple, right? So when they moved to their new house, they had a skybox in the bedroom and they had a skybox in the sitting room, right? So I think they contacted Sky, or maybe they just asked someone's advice and they just said, bring them over and them wires there, just plug them into that and it should work away. Because I think the house was already set up for Sky or something. You just needed to plug it in. It was plug and play or almost plug and play, or there was 1 or 2 steps to follow, whatever, right? So she says to him, oh, the Sky boxes are not working. You're going to have to ring Sky. So he says, oh, I'm not ringing them now. He says, you ring them, will you? And she said, I tried to ring them, but they have to speak to the account holder, which is you. So you need to ring them. So he was like, I don't want to be ringing them now, whatever. So I don't mind doing things like that because I'd be trying to get a laugh and all when I ring places. Do you know, like if I ring a place and they say like, oh, your internet is not going to be back on or your heating or whatever, I'd be like, and I'd make up a story of why it's bad, you know, just for the crack and just try and whoever is with me, I'll try and make them laugh or whatever, right? So I says, I'll ring. So I know all his details. I know all his details, all his information. So I didn't need anything, only the new address. So I rang anyway. Yeah, this is me, blah, 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 pretending to be him. So his missus is out in the kitchen. I don't know what she was doing. Was she cooking or was she doing the dishes or whatever she might have been doing, right? So we were in the sitting room, which is just separated by double doors. So he was sitting on the couch and I was standing in the sitting room near the skybox. So I was talking to the woman on the phone and she says, did you put the skyboxes in the correct rooms? So I said, so everything she was saying to me, I was kind of repeating back to her so he could answer those questions that I didn't know the answer to, right? So I says, how do you mean now? Like, what, did the bedroom one go in the bedroom and the sitting room one go in the sitting room? And I was looking at him as if to say, did it? And he's just there kind of shrugging his shoulders because he didn't realise that you had to do that. So he was just like, skybox, plug them into each room and they'll be fine. So she said to me, she said, you have to take out the cards out of the boxes, she said, and call me the numbers on them. And I don't know, did she need the boat numbers or was there no card in the one in the sitting room or something like that? So I looked at him and I was like, oh, the number on the card from the box, is it? And she was like, yeah. I said, from the one in the bedroom? And she said, yeah, because whatever. I don't know if she wanted me to get that card anyway. So I looked at him as if to say, go get the fucking card. Like, so his missus now was still out in the kitchen and just doing her own thing and barely taking notice. She was just letting us sort this thing, right? So he gets up off the chair anyway, in a bit of a panic, because I was after looking at him going like, go get the card, like, you know, because I was pretending to be him on the phone. So I couldn't be asking him questions or anything about it, right? So he jumped up off the couch and ran to the hall, right? So we'll say the couch is against the wall, and then right behind that wall is the stairs. So he kind of went to the end of the couch, and you turn the corner right and then turn right again straight away, and that brings you up the stairs. So he ran out into the hall, and the second his foot contacted the tiles in the hall, he didn't get any grip on the tile. He just slipped and turned himself upside down. Now, when I say that he turned himself upside down, that might sound like an over-exaggeration, right? He went so upside down, right, and absolutely drove his elbow into the tiles, right, with his entire body weight crashing down on top of his elbow, right? And he was so upside down that his tacky hit the wall about, he's under 6 foot, but I swear to God, I think his footprint was 7 foot up on the wall. He went that high up. That's what it seemed like. It looked like I was looking up at this print on the wall, because he just literally tumbled and his leg went up and bounced off the wall. So there was a big print of his tacky on the wall that we noticed a while after, right? So he was in a fucking condition all over the hallway floor, right? So she was after mopping the floor, but he didn't realise that. He might have known, but he didn't take notice because he was more concentrating on the card. But yeah, he ran out, and the second his foot contacted, just and flipped him, and he, oh man, mashed his elbow into the ground, right? So he jumped up off the ground, and he couldn't start running and shouting because I was still on the phone to Sky pretending to be him. So he's there in, and his face is like a fucking tomato. He's roaring red, right? And he's crunching up his face because of the pain, right? And he's holding onto his elbow. So he's pushing his elbow in against his body, and he's crunching up his whole face and grinding his teeth, and he kind of comes back in and throws himself back onto the couch, and he's just kind of sitting there wincing in pain, and I'm just standing there still on the phone, not saying anything, as if I'm going checking the card for the woman. And he's there doing all this. And his missus then walks in because she's after hearing a little bit of commotion with him falling and him jumping back on the couch and all. So she obviously just came in to see what was happening. And I hadn't even asked him to go up and get the card. So that means she wouldn't have even known he got up off the couch in the first place. So all she knew was that I was on the phone, he was sitting on the couch, and then all of a sudden she walked into the sitting room. He was still sitting on the couch in her mind, holding onto his elbow, mashing up his face in pain. His face was roaring red, and he was looking at her and like giving out to her because she was the one who mopped the floor, and he bounced off the ground because of it. And she was just looking at him thinking, why is he being like this towards me? Why is his face all red? Why is he holding on to his elbow? And I'm just still standing I'm just still standing there then holding on to the phone, just looking at all this unfold. It was so funny that I didn't even laugh. Does that make any sense? Like, it was just so funny and absurd about how it happened, and about how she was totally oblivious to what was after happening, and he was giving out to her, like fucking her out of it, because she was after mopping the floor, but she didn't even know why he was giving out, because he wasn't actually saying words. He was like, just fucking the floor, you bastard, and all this. And she's looking at him going like, what's going on? She didn't know. So then, I can't remember if we got the card or what we did, but when we were off the phone, then we walked out into the fucking hallway, and there was like a big slip mark along the tiles, And we were looking at that, and we were at this point now we were roaring, laughing, whatever. And I was explaining how funny it was from my point of view because I was after witnessing everything happening, and she was kind of saying like, "Oh, I didn't fucking know what was going on," and he was kind of going like, "Yeah, sure, I couldn't say anything because you were on the phone and blah." So we were kind of recapping the whole thing, and the whole thing was absolutely fucking hilarious. And then we walked out into the hall, and I looked up on the wall, and I said, "What the fuck is that?" And we looked, and it was a print of his tacky up on the wall. And oh man, I couldn't fucking breathe from laughing. I was there a while ago, this morning, in bed, and I was thinking about doing this episode, and I thought, I'll tell the story about him falling. And I was there, and I was just thinking about it, and I swear to God, I was vibrating. This was fucking, Jesus, this is about 12 years ago or something like. I don't know, no, that's just an estimate, but it was years ago anyway. And it's still fucking hilarious to this day. I just wish that they had cameras in the house or something that caught it, because it would have went fucking viral if we could get the video of it. So while we're on the subject, right, I might as well tell another story about him. I didn't name him, so it's okay. We were there another day, and now he'd be like me, where he barely ever drink, and we went to a wedding. Now, in fairness, like if we went drinking like at a party or a wedding or something like that, we might we drink a good bit and we get drunk and whatever. But like we can't handle it. Like, do you know? No, we can handle it. Don't get me wrong. We don't be falling around the place or whatever. But we'd be drunk like, and we'd be fucking sick the next day. Like there was one time. This is just a little separate story. There was one time where we were in a car. We were in the back of someone's car. Oh yeah, one of the boys was driving us around in his car because we were drinking and he wasn't. And another one of the boys got onto us and goes, "Here, is anyone around for a lift or whatever?" And we were there to your man. "Come on, we go out and collect this fella there. We get a laugh or whatever." So he was after coming out of a house party, and he was after robbing a thing of aftershave out of the bathroom, a bottle of aftershave out of some bathroom in some random house party he was at. He was like, "Here, boys, do you want, look at this? I'm after robbing it out of the bathroom of the house party." So we were there in the car, then spraying it all over ourselves now, stinking in this aftershave. And then we drank a fair amount that night, like, and then we woke up the next morning dying sick, and we stank of the aftershave. And then we found the bottle of aftershave about 5 months later, or maybe a year later, in the glove box of his car. And I was like, "Oh, that's the fucking aftershave that Jack had that time that we sprayed on ourselves when we had the hangovers." And I sprayed it. We were out the front, and it caught, the wind caught it and blew it towards him, and he's there in empty reaches and everything, because it just brought him straight back to the hangover, you know. So that's the way we are. Like we're not able to fucking drink, like. So we went to this wedding, and we were fucking well on it now, and it was the following day. So we were sick the following day, and we went to the chipper. So we said, we'll go down and we'll get a good feed of chipper that'll sort us out, whatever. So he had to get food for his missus and his kids, and I was there, and I think there was one or two other people in the house as well. So we were getting a big fucking feed of food, right? Big feed of food. Sounds wrong, but we walked into the chipper, and there was about, geez, I don't know how many people was in there. It wasn't packed, but at the same time, it wasn't dead. You know, there was a couple of people there, like. So he walked up to the counter anyway. I think I might have ordered my food first, or I was going ordering after him or something like that. And he walked up to the counter and goes, "Can I get?" And his voice was kind of gammy because, as I said, he was hungover and we were running screaming at the wedding the night before. So he asked for one or two things. And then one of the kids wanted a chicken nugget meal, right? So he says, "Can I?" No, it's a stupid fucking story, but if you were there and witnessed it, it's the funniest thing ever. So I hope I hope it comes across to ye, just how we felt about this at this moment, and how it always replays in my mind, and it's just one of the fucking funniest things ever. Everyone has those stories, but he was after ordering one or two of the things that he wanted to get, and then he goes, he was trying to ask for the chicken nugget meal, And he goes, can I get a chicken? And his voice broke while he was saying chicken, right? So, yeah, I'm fully sure. Yeah, I'm fully sure. So we broke into tears laughing, right, when he did that, because he could hear me behind him laughing, and he was kind of looking back at me as if, so shut up, man, we don't turn out of the fool. And then he found it so funny that I found it funny, and then there was other people in there, and we were thinking, like, what are they thinking about this, like, you know? So we were there giggling and vibrating away and laughing, and next thing we just couldn't. So now there's one point to the story that I can't remember fully, but I think what happened was we broke into tears laughing when he fucked up the chicken nugget meal, right? And we had to walk outside the chipper and actually let other people go ahead of us, right? So we were out the front, absolutely roaring laughing, leaning on the bonnet of the car, slapping the bonnet and everything. Could not breathe from laughing because it was just so funny that he was after fucking up his word while he was ordering his food, his chicken nugget meal, right? So I think we went outside then and went back in. If not, we went outside at the end and laughed and went back in. But when he tried to explain to the woman behind the counter why we found it so funny, because obviously you couldn't just go back in and go, yeah, chicken nugget meal there and this and that and that. Like, we were after causing a massive scene, laughing. It was hilarious, like, to us. And you couldn't just go back in and be normal and go, oh, can I have this and this and this? So obviously he had to explain himself. So he tried to explain to the woman why his voice broke and why we found it so funny. So he tried to tell the woman, I was drinking last night and my voice has gone from it, right? So he looked at the woman and literally 1.5 words came out of his mouth before he fucked it up again. No, 2.5 words came out of his mouth before he fucked it up again. He goes, I was drinking, and fucked up the word drinking as well, and that set us off again. And my God, I don't even know if we got the food at the end of it. I think we had to go away. I can't remember little bits of it. I can just remember how funny that was, because we were making, it was like fucking a scene out of, what's it called? Keenan and Kel or something. Do you know when something stupid happens, everyone's falling and they're spilling like pots of fucking Dalmio sauce everywhere, and they're slipping and they're trying to clean it up and they're like making it worse and it's getting matted in their hair and everything. That's what it felt like. It just felt like pure carnage, like. And then we were outside the chipper, like falling all over the bonnet of the car trying to fucking compose ourselves. Just hilarious, like. And then the people inside the chipper were just there kind of looking out at us thinking, like, what's so funny? Because he couldn't even tell him, like, I was drinking last night, so that's why my voice is hoarse. He literally got out, I was drinking, but the word drinking came out like drinking. So yeah, I just thought that was fucking brilliant. And it's just something that it's a story that I always tell, and that I'd love to fucking relive. But yeah, what I want you to do, lads, if you can, is just send in your stupid bullshit stories, and because I want to concentrate more on funny stuff, because I find that I just naturally branch off into more serious topics. No, not all the time, like, but a little bit, you know what I mean? So I'd like a little bit more input from yourselves. So if you can just comment as much as you can and like as much as you can and blah, blah, blah. And as I said in the last one, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify, you can click in and just scroll down and comment while the video is playing, and it won't affect you. You won't miss anything. And the comments are brilliant because they help the algorithm. So just subscribe wherever you can, YouTube, turn on the notification, follow all the socials, Walshunit on everything. And if you could follow on Spotify and give a 5-star rating on Spotify as well, that'd be brilliant. Because look, I'm creating content for years and years and years, as I said already, and this podcasting is my next step, and I want this to go well, and I want it to go good, and I want to be able to get my bullshit out to the people who like my bullshit. So I just need you to help me as much as you can, if you can, please, and I would really appreciate it, right? So there's another story about another one of the boys, right? So me and kind of most of the people that I'd be friends with are the type, if we don't know how to do something, we'll just give it a go. Or you'd ask someone else, like, it'd say like, oh, have you ever done this before? And they'd be like, oh, I don't know, no, not really, or whatever. So you just kind of give it a go yourself. And then if you can't do it, you'll go to a mechanic or you'll go to whoever, right? So one of the boys got a service kit for his car. It was a petrol car, so he's got spark plugs and oil and filters and blah, 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 right? So he says, I'm going to change the oil in the car myself anyway. I know how to do that part. And he says, and then he was like, do you know what? Actually, I got the yoke for the, no, what did he say? I don't know. So he said he's going to change the spark plugs, right? He said, I have a socket set there, so I'm going to change the spark plugs in the car. It was an old Colt he had, right? Was it like the Mark II Colt, I think? What year? 01? Is that Mark II? I don't know. But so I wasn't actually there this night, no, but I heard about it. And they were at the petrol station at night time, probably fucking 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And he goes, I'm going to change my my spark plugs now while we're here, because there's no one here and the forecourt is quiet. So he pulled it up underneath the shelter where you get your diesel or petrol or whatever, right? And he says he'll do it there because it was brighter and it was raining, I think, as well. So he got out on his own, and the lads were sitting in the other car, and because we used to kind of hang around at that petrol station, this was a good few years ago now as well. And so he gets out his socket set and whatever, and went over and started tried to start loosening, right, to take out the spark plugs. So he did it anyway, and he was there pushing and twisting, and his arm then went kind of flew forward as if the bolt was after loosening. So he looked back at the boys in the car and kind of shook his head and put up his hand as if to say, what the fuck is going on here? Next thing, he went over again, tried to loosen the next one. Same thing happened. So the boys were looking, going, what's happening? Like, because it looked to them like they were tight and he was loosening them, and it looked like he was looking back, kind of going like, oh, it was so tight, but I'm after getting it. But they were kind of like, why is he annoyed by that? Like, you know? But it turns out what he was doing was he didn't have a clue what he was doing. So he was trying to take off his rocker cover to change the spark plugs in the car. So he put on a socket onto the little bolts on top of the rocker cover, onto the first one, boom, busted it off. Onto the second one, boom, busted it off. And then I think the boys realised, they were like, what are you doing, man? He was like, changing the spark plugs. He thought he had to take the rocker cover off to access the spark plugs instead of just pulling out the cables, and the fucking spark plugs were there, obviously. But that's something that I would have liked to be there for. Now, if you don't know about fucking that, if you don't, like, I'm not saying if you don't know about cars, because that's a pretty basic thing, but yeah, then it might not be entertaining for you. But anyone who does, it's they might get a kick out of it, because it's such a stupid fucking thing. But there's definitely people who have done stupid things, and people have stories about stupid things that have people done, is it? So yeah, send them in to me. Email is walshunit@gmail.com, and all socials are Walshunit, right? So I usually start the episode with things that bother me, but I'm not going to. I didn't this time. But do you know what bothers me now? A lot. There's a car that lives near me. The car doesn't live near me. The person does, right? But their car will be parked there, and there's, do you know those external screens you can get for like the Apple CarPlay that they be selling on? I think they sell them on like TikTok Shop and Amazon and eBay and all that kind of carry on, yeah. So it's an external screen that you get, and you put it up on top of your dash, and I don't know, you wire it in somewhere, whatever. So do you remember years ago when you'd have an old car? This is for anyone now who did have old cars like myself, and you always used to change the stereo, the head unit, whatever. And then if you mix up the wires, what's the name of the wire? The memory wire. Do you remember if I think it was the red and yellow wires, remember you used to have to disconnect the two wires and spin them around and then connect them back up again, and that would make your stereo turn off when you turn the car off, and it would make your CD be in the same place when you turn the car back on. Your CD would continue playing from where it was, or your radio station would be on the same radio station, whatever. So whatever way they have this wired, they definitely have that part wired wrong. And every time I pass the car, the screen is just on. In the car, all the time, 24/7. And it drives me mad. Why does that drive me mad? I do not know. But that's just something that I said drives me mad. Probably would drive other people mad, But you see, I saw it and thought, oh, they obviously have the wire connected wrong, because that'd be something to do with that, like the constant live. Because I know that for the memory, you need to have a constant live going to the memory, but not to the actual unit itself. So I was thinking, oh, it's something to do with that constant live now, and that's why that's on all the time, because there's constant power going to it. And because I kind of understand why it's on, then it drives me mad. It's, yeah, because of whatever's going on in my brain, right? There was another thing. There was a car. Who was I telling about this? I hope I didn't tell it on the podcast. Or did I tell someone on TikTok Live or whatever it was? But I'm a fucking weirdo for regs on cars. Like, if a car has, even if a car just has fancy plates and nothing else done to it, it'll stick out in my mind. I'll be like, oh, that's that car from this place. Or if it has like a distinctive number sequence on it, like it might have 307 might be on it, and I'd be like, oh, that's like a Peugeot 307. And then you'd be like, oh, that's that fucking Ford Focus from this place, because it has 307 on the reg. And that's what I thought in my head when I saw it the first time. That, do you know, so I was at a junction, and I was at a junction waiting to pull out. So I had my indicator on, it was just sitting there, and it was waiting to pull out. So I was here, so my line of vision is here, we'll say, and then a car would pass, and like every time a car just comes into my line of vision, that's my first time seeing it. You know, I haven't seen it coming down the road or anything like that. It's literally just pass. And there was cars, just random cars passing me, car. And then this Passat was passing me, 09, I think it was, right, with fancy plates on it. So I couldn't tell you the reg. I couldn't tell you. I'm fully sure it's 09, but that's all I know. But it's just the style of the reg and the font that makes that so distinctive to me. And every time I see that car, I know what car it is, and it just straight away, right? So, but this is the quickest it's ever happened to me now. So it was literally car, then that car, and my brain didn't go car. My brain saw the reg and said to me, he works in Shannon. And then my brain went car. So like, before I even realised, I think, what kind of car it was, I saw the reg and my brain was like, he works in Shannon. So it was like car, he works in Shannon, car. Fucking so weird. Like, I don't understand how my brain goes there when I see reg or something like that. But yeah. Oh, did you know as well? I know I'm always talking about Snapchat. I feel like I mentioned Snapchat every episode at Walshunit on Snapchat, by the way. 26,000 subscribers on Snapchat now. Getting there. But do you know, if you get sick of somebody on your Snapchat, right, and you delete them, did you know that you pop up to the top of their chats? Did you know that, like, do you know all your recent snaps will just say your list of people that you were recently talking to? Like, if you just open up Snapchat and you go into the list of people you were recently talking to, your chats, like, yeah, and you go in and you see the list, like ma'am, dad, uncle, boss, do you know, whatever, down long. If someone deletes you and you might not have talked to them in 6 weeks, they'll pop back up to the top of your chats, and there'll be a little X next to their name. Because of them deleting you off Snapchat, they jump to the top of your list because it's a recent thing that they're after doing. So it looks like, so Snapchat thinks that they've interacted with you, so it pushes that name up to the top of your chats. So if you think that you're going on deleting people and they don't know about it, they know about it, because you're bouncing up to the top of their chats. And then the person is going like, why is this person up at the top of my chats? And then they click into it and it was like, you have not added this person as a friend yet. So that's just a bit of friendly advice for you, right? So be careful who you're deleting. And yeah. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this St. Bridget's Bank Holiday Bonanza Wild Wacky Action Show. Big bonus Bank Holiday Bridget's Bonanza thing show, right? Follow me on all the socials, subscribe, comment. This is a bonus episode for you because I really, really appreciate you. I love the fact that there's a load of diehard fans. Now, not people who like Bruce Willis walking around his bare feet, getting glass in his feet in the tower, but there's diehard fans of my podcast. And it's fucking mad to see. And it's brilliant to see. And I love it. And I love ye. Not like that. Okay, like that. But, yeah, keep it up. And do me a favour. Tell a friend about it. Send it on to someone. Send them on this episode. This is a stupid episode. It's a lot more lighthearted than the previous episodes. Send them this episode and say, follow this fella. He's mad boy. Very funny. Ha ha. And then just put back on a serious face again because you're only pretending, know what I mean? But yeah, if everyone tells someone, then it could double my listenership. If you tell 90 people, if everyone tells 90 people and 2 of them people each go and follow me and look at all my stuff and everything else, then that, I think, triples my listenership. So if I already have my listenership and then I get 2 more listenerships, that triples my listenership, isn't it? No, there you go. Everyday man's on the block. Quick maths. Right, I'm going to go again. A little bit shorter, but as I say, it's a bonus. It's a surprise. Didn't even tell anyone that I was doing this. So what time is it now? It is 3:30. So I'm going to time this episode for 4 o'clock, which you will already know because you just watched or listened to the episode. Thanks very much. You're very good. You're very loyal. As I said already, I love you. Not like that. Okay, like that.
The unit.